Hey there. Hi, everybody. Dan Haggerty here. Let's go in depth. Just a quick one tonight. We're not going to go all the way in depth. We'll just go slightly in depth. It's the end of the week. Well, let's go back into the inbox, into my email inbox, and talk about gun laws. We've been doing that for a little while lately. I still get tons of great questions from all of you at home. If you have something to say, please email me at dan@WRAL.com. There it is. You can also find me on all the social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that sort of thing, and the WRAL YouTube channel. David wrote me and said, hey, Dan, don't parents realize that these guns are not toys for children to play with? Shouldn't we be requiring people who purchase these weapons to pay for liability insurance? That way, at least we could force some accountability, just like owning a car. So thank you, first of all, for the email, but let's work through it backwards, starting with the end. As you know, you can't drive without insurance. That's the law. But don't count on that happening when it comes to guns. And it's for one real simple reason. Guns are a right in the Constitution. Driving a car is not. I understand the desire to make that comparison, but it's apples and oranges. That said, focusing on liability is an interesting prospect. And right now, it's being explored like never before. In the case of James and Jennifer Crumbley, you remember them? The parents of the Michigan school shooter, Ethan Crumbley. For the first time ever, the parents of a mass shooter are being held criminally liable for the actual tragedy, being charged with involuntary manslaughter for every life he took. Prosecutors argue that their gross negligence allowed their son access to the murder weapon. As a refresher here, it was back in November of last year that 15-year-old Ethan shot and killed 4 classmates at Oxford High School in Michigan. In the weeks and days and even hours prior to that, there were countless red flags, and the evidence points to the parents actively ignoring all of it while still allowing their son access to an unsecured gun. That list of red flags is very long. I mean, for instance, the kid says that he asked his parents specifically for help and was ignored. Teachers told the parents that they were concerned that that kid was going to do something terrible. And again, nothing was done. There was this text that Ethan sent to a friend. It reads, I actually asked my dad to take me to the doctor yesterday, but he gave me some pills and told me to suck it up. Like, it's at the point that I'm asking to go to the doctor. My mom laughed when I told her, but I'm having bad insomnia right now and paranoia. I need help. It's a lot, I know. It's infuriating, it's sickening. But is it illegal? There's no law against ignoring your kid or being a bad parent, or one that determines how bad of a parent you have to be before you're responsible for any of the horrible things that your kid might do. The closest example to something like this takes us back 22 years to the year 2000, when a 6-year-old boy living in a flop house found a stolen gun in a shoebox by a bed of another man living there. He took that gun to school and accidentally killed that little girl on your screen. They charged the man with involuntary manslaughter, and he took a plea deal and served 2 years. It never actually went to court, and prosecutors admit afterwards that that case would have been very, very difficult to prove. It also ignited a big debate over safe storage laws. Obviously, a shoebox doesn't fit the bill. Now, in North Carolina, safe gun storage is law, but it's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor, and it's considered entirely separate from any crime committed with the weapon. For instance, let's say you store your gun illegally, loaded in a shoebox, and someone takes it and does something terrible with it. You're only responsible for the illegal storage of the gun, not the terrible thing that's done with it. It reminds me of the only other parent I could find who was criminally charged following a mass school shooting, a guy named Raymond Freiberg, whose teenage son killed 4 students in a Washington high school. Now, Freiberg didn't go to jail, though, because of what his son did with the gun. He served 2 years because the gun was from his dad's stockpile of illegally bought and owned weapons, something police discovered after the tragedy. When horrible things happen, we want to blame people, and people get blamed, and sometimes people deserve that blame. But there's a difference between blame and criminal culpability, a difference we may see defined for the first time in Michigan. Tell me what you think. Email me, dan@WRAL.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the YouTube channel, all that stuff. I'm not hard to find. Let me know what you think about the local news. What should we be discussing more in depth. Dan, WRAL.com.